Elsinore. This was for third place in the Ivy League. You're going to have Orange Vista and Rancho Verde. We'll talk more about that in just a moment. Playing for the Ivy League title outright next week. So this game was for an automatic playoff spot. So it was very important. So let's go to the highlights. And some of these highlights we're going to see together for the first time, you and me. That was Julian Santoyo for the Elsinore Tigers. And there's Andrew Irvin, number 23. And Irvin's dad always blowing me up on social media. And I can see why, man. Andrew Irvin runs in that touchdown there for the Elsinore Tigers. J.W. North trying to battle back. Great touchdown grab. Cameron Shannon there. And then Elsinore. They go to the air. Yes, they'll throw it once in a while. That is your boy, number 18, Max. Oh, is it Redfield? Let me find his name real quick so I can get it right. Caden Maxfield there for the Elsinore Tigers. And then back the other way with J.W. North, Carson Branch, number 8, across the 10, the 5, and he's in there for the J.W. North touchdown. Huskies and Tigers going back to back. Then later, scrambling, trying to buy some time. Shannon to the end zone. And in the back of the end zone, there is his guy, Carson Branch, there for the score. Julian Santoyo had the game of his life tonight for the Elsinore Tigers. Very important game for Elsinore. Santoyo had 3 touchdowns in the game, including that one you just saw. J.W. North strikes back. The touchdown pass there from Cameron Shannon. And here comes Santoyo again on the ground. Nice stiff arm there to spring him loose and get into the end zone. And then Andrew Irvin on the 2 points gets in there for the score. A lot of Santoyo, Irvin, and there's another look from a different angle from Riverside TV as Irvin takes it in. Elsinore had a 2-touchdown lead. North trying to battle back late in the game. Shannon tosses it up, and it looks like it is picked off by, you guessed it, Julian Santoyo. Again, he had the game of his life in the biggest game of the season for the Elsinore Tigers, and they would get the win tonight against J.W. North. 42-27 the final in that one, and as we mentioned, this was basically a playoff game already for both of these teams. So now Elsinore controls its own destiny all alone in third place in the Ivy League. Now, speaking of the Ivy League, it's coming down to week number 10. Rancho Verde and Elsinore, winner take all. The winner of this game next week will be your outright Ivy League champion. It'll be Zomalt versus Zomalt. We got Eric Zomalt at Rancho Verde High School. We got Greg Zomalt over at Orange Vista. The two brothers going head-to-head. Both teams undefeated right now in Ivy League play. So a true league championship game next week. Orange Vista ran all over Temescal Canyon this week. Rancho Verde had Heritage. Let's go to those highlights. The Mustangs and the Patriots getting together on Team Vision TV 16. Here we go. That is Dylan Riley. He wears number 0, but he's going in for 6 right there. Dylan Riley with the long touchdown run early in this game. You like that? We'll take that, rewind it back. Riley does it again. This one about 85 yards. Nobody's going to touch him. Dylan Riley all the way to the house. So between those 2 touchdown runs, he's probably already at, 160 yards rushing in this game. So he had those 2 touchdowns, and how about some defense? A.J. Boone, the pick there for Rancho Verde, diving inside the pylon. They played some great defense tonight. How about the big fella here? It's going to be number 90, Deshaun Howard, the big tackle. So the secondary making plays, the linemen making plays for Rancho Verde. Here's some more defense from the Mustangs. This time it's going to be Larry Denson, the INT. The big return for Denson, but the touchdown would not count. There was a penalty on the return, but it was a big pick. And Rancho Verde runs past Heritage 37-7. So again, that's going to set up that huge game. Zomalt versus Zomalt. Rancho Verde against Orange Vista for the Ivy League Championship in week number 10. That's going to be a fantastic game. And that game will also be on Team Vision TV 16. So right now, let's take a look at the current Ivy League standings right now. And as we just mentioned, Orange Vista and Rancho Verde 4-0 on top. Elsinore all alone in third place at 2-2, so the Tigers do control their own destiny. JW North at 1-3, Temescal Canyon at 1-3, and then Heritage still looking for their first win of the season. So North, for them to get to the playoffs, they need some help. So right now, if Elsinore wins out, they will get the automatic bid. And again, Orange Vista and Rancho Verde going head-to-head for the Ivy League Championship. That might be, I'd have to take a look at all the league standings around the area, but here in the IE, that might be the only true league championship game we have in week number 10 coming up. So that's going to be a huge one in the IE come next week. All right, a little bit later in the show, head coach Ken Batdorf will join us live. In fact, you guys can't see him, but Coach, I can see you, and I know he's ready. He's giving me the big thumbs up. He's ready to do this and talk about that win against Patriot last night. Oh, Coach, if you can hear me, and we're going to do some live producing on the air, because in order to make you look your best, we know you already look fantastic, but to make you look even better, Coach, if you could take your phone and turn it sideways, so it's, so it's horizontal. There it is, landscape mode. He's in. So Coach is ready to go there, and we'll have him in our second segment. So let's get to those highlights. Norte Vista taking on Patriot in the River Valley League, and this was a Thursday night game. It came down to the wire. It was a close game. The Warriors gave the Braves a battle. Let's go to those highlights in this one, and it was a lot of Dreddy Elaine in this game. He had himself a big game for Norte Vista. I believe 3 touchdowns in all. We'll get that confirmed with Coach Batdorf when we talk to him. And there's Seth Bolander running it in here. No, excuse me, that was for Patriot. They've got some great players. Josiah Felix, the running back, Miramontes. They got some playmakers as well. And here, look at Norte Vista, when you didn't think they would throw it, they would throw it. Seth Bolander's a great QB. Patriot answers with a touchdown of their own. I told you, between Miramontes and Josiah Felix, they've got some playmakers. Miramontes with time, scrambling, getting up to that line of scrimmage, and then lets it go into the end zone for a touchdown there for the Patriot Warriors. And let's see what Norte Vista has up their sleeve. I'm seeing these highlights for the first time as well. That's the end of the game, 28-24. That's it. Those are the highlights as Norte Vista hangs on. They're 8-1 overall on the season, 4-0 in the River Valley League. They will finish up with Ramona next week, and then it's on to the playoffs for the Braves. So big win for them, and Patriot still with a chance to make the playoffs. The River Valley League is a lot of fun. Patriot trying to get in. Of course, Hillcrest, they're in second place right now. Ramona needs some help, but we'll see what happens in week number 10. Speaking of Ramona, that's where we're going to go next in the River Valley League. Arlington taking on Ramona. Let's go to those highlights. Ramona, again, currently basically the 4th place team because they lost head-to-head to Patriot and Hillcrest. Jeremiah Acosta going deep downfield, but intercepted by the Lions. One of the few Arlington highlights, at least in this game. Next time down the field, Acosta calls his own number, trots into the end zone there for Ramona. The defense played well for the Rams. And, of course, doing things on the ground. We've talked about Sincere Tolbert a lot this year. We've talked about Royce Mendoza, but a lot of players getting involved and getting some playing time. The sack there, that was Mendoza, 22, jarring the ball loose into the end zone. That's a touchdown for the Rams. And there is another score for Ram High. I believe that is Tolbert down there, number 30 at the bottom of that pile for the score. Arlington trying to go through the air, and there is an interception by Ramona. It would be, when it's all said and done, a shutout victory for Ramona High School. So the offense was clicking, the defense doing their thing against the Lions as well. Acosta going to the end zone, and there's this guy, Jacob Valenzuela, one of the top receivers in the area, hauls in that touchdown there for Ram High. The ensuing kickoff to the Arlington Lions. Big return down the sideline, cuts it back in, still on his feet, and finally brought down around the 35-yard line, but they would come up empty on that drive. Back to Ramona and the offense. Tolbert takes it in for another score there for Ram High. And it was a 37-0 win. The scoreboard would not lie. 37-zip Ram High wins. But like we said, they need some help. You know, the top 3 teams are your automatic qualifiers out of the River Valley League. That's going to be Norte Vista on top. At least currently right now, going into Week 10, Norte Vista on top, Hillcrest in second, Patriot technically your third place team in the RVL. All right, so now speaking of Hillcrest, we just mentioned them second place right now in the River Valley League. They were taking on La Sierra this week. Let's go to those highlights, and we'll start with La Sierra. They would get on the scoreboard first. Quarterback Eddie Roy to Tristan Pasalacqua. And that made it 6-0 Eagles. So La Sierra with upset on their mind and kind of shake up the RVL standings. But Hillcrest, they would be quick to respond. Here is Matt Ramos. Man, this guy's having a monster season, does a little bit of everything, runs in the touchdown there for the Trojans. And that makes it a 7-6 game. Lifts them up in the air like the scene from Titanic, right? 7-6, Hillcrest on top. More from Hillcrest. Christian Alvarado to Nick Shaw. Nick Shaw, 80 yards later, he's going to find himself in the end zone for another Hillcrest touchdown. So the Eagles scored first, and Hillcrest, man, turned it right around. They flipped the script real quick on La Sierra, the long touchdown there. Now La Sierra back to punt. That's not good. The ball sails over the punter's head, bouncing around near the goal line. Randy Alhambra recovers for the touchdown for Hillcrest. So just like that, it's 21-6, and they weren't done yet. Trojans back on offense from the 18-yard line. Alfredo Vences. He gets his number called. He finds the paint, scampers in for 6 more, and it's now 28-6 Hillcrest. This was a game I should have mentioned on Riverside TV as well. We had a doubleheader tonight on Riverside TV. More from Hillcrest this time, Jacob McDowell. So all the Trojans getting involved tonight against La Sierra. McDowell goes in for the 9-yard score, 35-6. And I think we got one more highlight from you. La Sierra, I think they were back to punt again. So another big-time play on special teams for Hillcrest. This time the punt is blocked and recovered for another Hillcrest score. 49-6, your final in this one. So 49 unanswered by Hillcrest. So La Sierra scored first. All Trojans the rest of the way. 49-6, the final there in River Valley League play. Well, we've been talking so much about the River Valley League, what the standings look like. Don't take my word for it. Let's check it out. Let's go to the standings, Jason, and show everybody right now as we head into week number 10. Norte Vista on top. They're 8-1 overall. The Braves 4-0 in the River Valley League. Hillcrest at 3-1. And then Patriot and Ramona at 2-2. But again, remember, Patriot has the head-to-head win, and that was a game that went down to the wire. That was a dramatic win there for the Warriors. So Ramona needs some help. Ramona would need to upset Norte Vista in week number 10. I'm sure Coach Batdorf doesn't like me saying that right now. Yeah, he's raising his eyebrow. He's like, interesting. But if Norte Vista wins out, they're the outright league champions. It's all said and done. So those are the River Valley League standings as we go into week number 10 next week. Now, we talked about, Elsinore and JW North in the Ivy League. That was a playoff game tonight for both those teams. Elsinore won it. They're in third place now in the Ivy League. If they control their own destiny, they win in week 10, they will go to the playoffs as the automatic bid in third place in the Ivy League. Another one of those games that felt like a playoff game tonight was in the Big West Lower. It was King versus Temecula Valley, because you got Great Oak on top. They control their own destiny. They're in the driver's seat for the Big West Lower Championship. But Murrieta Mesa, King, Temecula Valley, all battling for second and third. And for King, they were playing Temecula Valley this week, and they've got Murrieta Mesa next week. So the Wolves had a chance. If they just went out, they're going to go to the playoffs. So, Jason, I haven't even seen this score. Do we have King versus Temecula Valley? We do. Look at that. Yeah, the Wolves win big on the road down in Temecula, blanking the Golden Bears 30-0. So now King moves to 3-1 in the Big West Lower, and they will play Murrieta Mesa next week for second place. So without doing the math, and I'm just talking out loud, thinking out loud right now, I think King, that they already secured a playoff spot there, regardless of what happens. Let's go to the league standings. Great Oak at 4-0. Kings at 3-1. Murrieta Mesa's at 3-1. Temecula Valley at 2-2. But now King and Murrieta Mesa, they hold the tiebreaker against the Golden Bears, regardless of what happens in week number 10. So King and Murrieta Mesa will play head-to-head next week for second place. And what happens if maybe Great Oak loses next week in week 10? Then we could have potential co-champions in the Big West Lower. So big win for King on the road. Big shutout victory, 30-0. In fact, I saw that score with you guys for the first time as Jason brought it up on the screen. So, all right, now let's go to the scores because it's been a hectic night around here. I didn't have my guy, Jeff Gorham, so doing a lot of the heavy lifting that Jeff would normally do. So, Jason, let's go to the scoreboard tonight and check out some of the scores because I haven't even seen all of them. Let's start with the Big West Upper Centennial. Not a big shock, right? They're going to score a lot of points. They've been rolling the last couple of weeks in league play. They beat Murrieta Valley 63-27, the final score. Centennial's 4-0 in league, so it says 3-1, but they're 4-0 in league, and they're going to roll, it looks like, to another league championship. Vista Murrieta and Roosevelt, maybe a mild upset here. Roosevelt over the Broncos, 28-21. So a nice win for the Mustangs, and I'll tell you what, there's going to be some really good football teams in the Big West Upper that do not make the playoffs. Man, it's rough up there in the Big West Upper. And finally, Chaparral and Norco. Listen, Norco's probably the best 3-6 team you are going to find. They played a lot of good teams, really close. And another close loss tonight for our guy Dan Bartlage and the Norco Cougars as they fall to the Pumas 17-13. So that's the Big West Upper. Let's go to the Big West Lower. Great Oak beating Santiago tonight, 48-21. So again, the Wolfpack 4-0. They're in first place in the Big West Lower. King and Temecula Valley, we told you about that one already, 30-0. Big win on the road for the Wolves. And finally, Murrieta Mesa against Corona, 49-0, the final there. Shutout win for the Rams, again setting up that important game now with King next week in week number 10. To the River Valley League, we showed you the highlights. We'll run through it one more time just in case you're just joining us. Norte Vista beat Patriot last night. That was a Thursday night special. Braves hang on, 28-24. Hillcrest and La Sierra, big win for the Trojans there. So they're going to stay all alone in second place in the RVL, 49-6. And Arlington and Ramona. Ramona won to keep their playoff hopes alive, at least 37-0 against the Lions. To the Ivy League, Orange Vista beat Temescal Canyon 42-0. Rancho Verde beat Heritage 37-7. So what does it all mean? It means we have an outright Ivy League title game next week between the Mustangs and the Coyotes. Zomalt versus Zomalt. And you saw it right here on Riverside TV. Elsinore essentially punched their ticket to the postseason, 42-27 the final score. Big win there for Elsinore. Now let's keep it in the Raincross Conference. We'll go down to the Sun Belt. Vista del Lago blanking Lakeside 49-0. We had Paloma Valley and Hemet, which was actually technically a crossover game. Hemet from the Inland Valley, but they beat Paloma Valley. That's probably the Bulldogs' biggest win of the year, 28-27 against Paloma Valley. We had Valley View and Moreno Valley. Moval getting the win against the Eagles, 26-7. Nice win for Coach Benitez and the Vikings. And finally, Rancho Christian and Canyon Springs, all Eags in this one, 42-0 the final score. All right, so those were some highlights. Those were some scores. We still have more for you a little bit later in the show, but we are going to take a very quick commercial break because head coach Ken Batdorf of Norte Vista needs his beauty sleep. We need to get him in bed pretty soon. He's nodding yes. So there he is right now. So we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, this guy, Norte Vista head coach Ken Batdorf on the Friday Night Pep Rally on Riverside TV.
The City of Riverside is pleased to announce a new innovative downtown parking program called Parking Your Way, designed to offer more convenient, accessible, and up to 90 minutes free parking in aggregate each day. Parking Your Way will utilize a web app where patrons can select 30 minutes of free parking in a metered on-street space and or 60 minutes free in either a public parking lot or public parking garage. Patrons can conveniently pay and extend their parking needs as well through the web app. Parking Your Way will benefit the Riverside community by enhancing the downtown parking experience, leading to improved quality of life and encouraging patrons to frequent downtown establishments. The web app can be used to select free parking options, pay for parking, and extended parking sessions right from your smartphone. To illustrate how easy the web app is to use, let's demonstrate how a patron would pay for parking in downtown Riverside once they arrive to their parking destination. First, I locate a QR code in the area I'm parking at. I use the camera on my smartphone to scan the QR code. The QR code redirects my smartphone to a web page where I can then enter in my cell phone number. Once done, click Proceed. I'm now able to see the different dates and length of time options in that area. I choose to park my car for about 1 hour and 30 minutes, and I enter in my license plate number. Once completed, I then click Continue. The web app now leads me to a payment page where I enter my credit card information. When done, click Authorize Card. The parking session has now begun. I will receive a text message with the session info. I'm now able to see the parking session, the duration for which I have parked, and the payment that I have authorized for. If you frequent downtown Riverside, it may be best to download the web app and create an account so you don't have to enter all the information each time you park. Parking in downtown Riverside just became easier. This concludes the City of Riverside's parking web app demonstration. Thank you so much.
And welcome back, everybody. The Friday Night Pep Rally. We appreciate you staying up late with us to get all the scores and highlights and some interviews as well. We appreciate this guy staying up late as well. Although he didn't technically have a game tonight, so I'm curious what he did tonight on a rare Friday night off. It is Norte Vista head coach Ken Batdorf joining us here live on the Friday Night Pep Rally. So, Coach, what do you do on a Friday night? Do you go scout a team? Do you go to the movies? Do you take your beautiful wife out to dinner? Like, what do you do?
Normally, I do scout. There was really nothing to scout tonight, so I stayed home and watched the broadcast. I watched La Sierra versus Hillcrest.
So you watched Riverside TV. You just could not get enough. You're just like, I got nothing else to do. You could binge something on Netflix. There's all kinds of stuff you could have done.
That's true, but this couch is really comfortable. I'm friends with Travis. I want to see how La Sierra's doing. So I thought about going to the game, but then I'm thinking, okay, let's just sit and have a quiet night with the family too. So they got forced to watch the game with me.
All right, Coach, so I do want to ask you about the River Valley League and the other teams in the River Valley League and looking ahead to the playoffs a little bit. But first, so you beat Patriot last night 28-24. We knew the Warriors had a good team, and Coach Fowler does such a great job. You know, I just saw the highlights. So tell me exactly what happened last night in that game.
Well, first off, hats off to Patriot, Coach Fowler, and his staff. They did a great job. They played us as well as pretty much anybody. I mean, they were fantastic. We didn't play inspired football, and you had a few of those factors together. We were in a game, and hats off to them. We didn't play the type of football I like. We turned the ball over too many times. And that came back to hurt us. So, but the River Valley League, I think, is pretty much done as far as who places where. There are some opportunities for some upsets, but I think the way that Patriot played against us, they'll beat La Sierra. No disrespect to La Sierra. It's just Patriot's a pretty good football team. And Ramona could beat us, but then Patriot against Ramona head-to-head, Patriot goes. Ramona, I think, has a really legit shot at a wild card. They'll be 500. I know they'll be in consideration, and Mashinsky does a great job. Win or lose against us, they're going to be a good football team, and they would be a formidable team in the playoffs.
Yeah, I hope Ram High gets in as an at-large team, and they can make some, do some damage and win those lower divisions. So that's where I want to go to next, Coach, because congratulations, you're River Valley League champions. If you beat Ramona next week, you'll be 9-1, and you might be in Division 4 or 5 or somewhere in that neighborhood. And then we were talking off camera, and I was like, hey, can I ask you about this? You said absolutely. You feel like Hillcrest and/or Patriot, they could make a really deep run in CIF, depending what division they fall into.
I'm pretty good at guessing. I think they'll both be, and they might be in the same division at 11. And both teams, with the talent and the coaching they have, could legitimately win CIF. I would pick them to go all the way. Both teams. I would love to see them in the finals because they're just better than the people they're going to play. We, on the other hand, are going to have to play great football every single game just to get a W. And that's frustrating because you have a league champ who's going to play in a significantly higher division. And, we're going to be playing monsters. Are we a good football team? Yes. Are we that good? Well, we're going to find out. But it's frustrating for me because we know there's schools out there that will lose games on purpose or, fudge the score, try to let the other team score. I even had a few people text me, "Oh, what are you letting Patriots score for?" I'm like, letting them score. They kicked our ass. I may not be able to say that on camera. Sorry, everybody. And that's a problem for me. People are trying to manipulate the system to get into an easier division.
Yeah, Coach, when you played San Gorgonio in that championship game, was that Division 7, 8?
I believe so. And I think that's a great place for us.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. I feel like that's maybe where you guys would normally belong.
I like it when we did the old system. Now, granted, I am old. We all old. I am, especially Gorham. By the way, he's almost as old as I am. I like it when it was somewhat geographically based because you get better crowds. When you do certain leagues versus certain leagues, you get league rivalries. Like if you were to compare us to the Desert Empire League, I think that's a great matchup. Our leagues are similar. And I think that would be a great crossover. Now, sure, some years maybe Palm Desert or La Quinta might be better, or maybe this year we were better, or last year it could have been Ramona. But when you get 5 teams to make up a division and it's geographically based, you get more crowds. It's easier for parents to go to games. In 2017, we had to go to Santa Barbara. Enough said. We didn't get any. I mean, we had some great fans there, but 50. I mean, and I think it's better if we can play people within our so-called communities. You get those rivalries, you get those games, you get more interest from the people. I think I'm one of the few people that still believe that. But I'm going to go to CIF and I'm on their advisory panel, and I'm going to try to get my point across.
Coach, we talked before the season even began, and you were telling me this is a good team. You were pretty, excited about this year's team. Maybe one of the best that Norte Vista has seen since you've been the head coach there. I don't want to say it's disheartening, but it is hard to fathom, man, we had one of the best teams ever at Norte Vista High School, but they're going to put us in Division, let's say 4 or 5, and maybe we win a game or 2 or whatever, as opposed to, being in Division 7 a couple years ago and going to the finals and making a deep run. I mean, this is a great team, and obviously you have high hopes, and who knows, you might make it to a championship game.
Right. We have to play better than we did Thursday night. And the way we played the previous week was really outstanding. So for me, it's frustrating because you want to be a great team. You got to play great every week. So we have to have a much better week of practice. I have to do a better job of coaching and calling plays. I mean, it's all adds up. But a few years ago, we've had some great teams, and it's fun because I hear people comparing like this team to a couple of years ago, or to 2016, or to 2020, or I'm sorry, 2000 or 95. Now, granted, I've been there for so long, I can sit there and they all tell me who the team is, but nobody ever asks my opinion.
Well, Coach, again, you've had great teams. You've, this team ranks up there with them as well. What do you think makes this year's squad maybe different or unique compared to maybe teams from seasons past? Is there something different about this year's squad?
Well, in the last 10 years, I think we're throwing more this year than we the last 10 years. And everybody's like, oh, you're throwing more. Well, we've got a quarterback that's just lighting it up. He's doing a fantastic job. We've got 2 outstanding receivers. So, and I'm going to say a lot of my coaches are doing great. My staff turnover rate's a little higher than I'd like, but my quarterback coach is Josh Harvey, who played for me about 20 years ago, and he's done phenomenal with Seth Bolander. Derek Druslet, who I've known literally for 50 years, is working with our receivers and doing a great job. So those two guys have really helped our offense in terms of opening it up, people trying to load the box. It's harder to because of two really good pass threats.
All right, Coach, finally, again, Week 10, you will finish up the regular season against Ramona High School. I would assume the Rams are going to be hungry and desperate. They need to strengthen their case to maybe punch their ticket to a postseason spot. What do you feel like are the keys to victory for the Braves? What do you guys have to do well next week?
Everything. We have to play better defense. We have to hold the ball. We can't just fumble it. We fumbled basically one away for a touchdown, and the other one, I think we were driving to score one. We just can't do that and expect to be a good football team. I would like us to see much better on our tackling. We were really good at hitting the Patriot running backs and quarterback, but they just kept going. You got to rap. You got to do the things right. And I was frustrated because we didn't do the little things right. If you do the little things right, everything takes care of itself. So that's kind of what we have to work on, doing the little things right. All the credit in the world to Coach Mashinsky. He's doing a great job, and he's got them on the doorstep of going to the playoffs after graduating everybody, and I know how hard that is. So, he's going to be ready to play. And like you said, they're going to be like a wounded animal. They're going to come out, firing on all cylinders and hungry, and hopefully we can do well.
Well, Coach, listen, we appreciate you staying up late with us. I know you were hoping to see Jeff Gorham sitting over here next to me, but he called it an early night. Oh, there he is.
That's the picture I've seen of Jeff Gorham.
Well, Coach, hey, congrats on that win last night. Again, Ram High next week in week number 10, and then it's on to the playoffs from Novi. That is head coach Ken Batdorf. Thank you so much, Coach. We always appreciate the time here on Riverside TV. You've always been so generous with your time with us.
Oh, my pleasure. Thanks for having me, and we'll talk to you soon.
All right, you got it. That is Ken Batdorf, the head football coach for the Northern Vista Braves here on the Friday Night Pep Rally. When we come back, we're going to take a quick break, but when we come back, we've got highlights, from 5 more games, more scores to get to, and as we always do, we will take a quick look ahead at week number 10 and the significance of those final games coming up in the regular season. So we'll be right back on the Friday Night Pep Rally on Riverside TV.
The City of Riverside Public Works Department wants you to know how holidays affect your trash service. Trash pickup will not be available during major holidays and collection times will be adjusted in response. Residents with city trash service will see the following adjustments. For Monday holidays, your Monday collection will happen on Tuesday and Tuesday collections will occur on Wednesdays. For Thursday holidays, Thursday service will occur on Friday and Friday service on Saturday. For Friday holidays, your Friday service will occur on Saturday. Residents served by outside vendors will experience a one-day delay of service for each day after any holiday taking place Monday through Friday. And for more information about trash services, recycling, or bulky items, visit the Public Works website at riversideca.gov/publicworks.
And a big thanks to Ken Batdorf for joining us here late on a Friday night here in week number 9. We got a couple more games to get to and scores, and then we'll look ahead at week number 10 at some of the matchups and the importance of them, the significance of week number 10, because again, league champions will be crowned and other teams just trying to punch their ticket and fight for a playoff spot. So it's gonna be a lot of fun coming down to week number 10. Now here in week number 9, we had one game, although it technically wasn't a league championship game yet because we still have one more game to play. But Eisenhower versus Summit in the Sunkist League. The winner of this game would be all alone in first place with one game to go. And remember, there's only 4 teams in the Sunkist League. It's a 3-week sprint to that league championship. Let's go to the highlights. We only got a couple clips. It's from our good friend Dennis Pope, who's actually on the Friday Night Pep Rally earlier on in this season. That is Summit QB Jesse Vega to Maximus McCarthy for the touchdown. And then it's going to be Vega running in the touchdown for Summit. So here's a couple Summit touchdowns, but it was Eisenhower who pulled out the win. 31-22. So the Eisenhower Eagles scored early in the first half. Summit tried to battle back and make it close, but Ike gets the win, 31-22. So Eisenhower now in the driver's seat to win the Sunkist League championship. So big win there. So the Sunkist League, part of the Arrowhead Athletic Conference, and that's where we'll stay for right now, the Arrowhead Athletic Conference. Let's go down to the Skyline League. Bloomington was taking on Notre Dame. Notre Dame still trying to get their first win of the season, and they gave the Bloomington Bruins all they could handle in this game. Let's go to the highlights in this one out at San Bernardino Valley College. The Titans on homecoming. You know, every week I feel like they come out inspired, and I really do mean it, because they put up a fight. It's been a tough season for them, but they still come out and battle. It was a rough start, though, for Notre Dame. Early on, actually not even early on, that was the opening kickoff. Bloomington with the opening kickoff, and they recover the football. Now the very first play from scrimmage, number 2, Andrew Padron on the touchdown run for Bloomington. So, I mean, we're barely, 10, 15 seconds into this game, and it's 6-0 Bloomington already on top of Notre Dame. So the ensuing kickoff, and the Bruins do it again. Another onside kick, and they recover. 2 plays later, and Bloomington is back in the end zone. It's going to be Cesar Villegas to Evan Isham for the touchdown. 13-0 Bloomington, and we're like 30 seconds into this game. Notre Dame trying to battle back. They got a great young quarterback, only a freshman. Mark Cadena runs for the first down. Cadena had a big game. And then it's going to be number 11, Dion Jordan, and this would spark the comeback for Notre Dame. Jordan, 63 yards on the touchdown run, and you can never count out the Titans. Big run there for Dion Jordan, and he was not done yet. Bloomington, they would try to respond. Diego Frums, he's had a big season for Bloomington. And tight end, running back, wherever they line him up, he's making plays. So Frums, nice run there for the Bruins. And then Dominic Ozetta nearly had the interception there for Notre Dame. So good defense there by the Titans. So they go back on offense. Cadena trying to get away from the pressure. He does. And the big fella gets the first down for Notre Dame. We said Dion Jordan had a big game. You just saw the touchdown run. This play looks almost exactly the same as the other one. But it's not. It's another touchdown run by Jordan. 14-13 after Notre Dame gets the extra point. So the Titans do take the lead. Notre Dame on the ensuing kickoff, and they recover. What a weird start to this game on homecoming. So they're trying to give Bloomington a little taste of their own medicine as they recover that kickoff. Cadena finds Matt Filippelli. Filippelli with the catch, and he's in. Touchdown, Titans. And it's now 21-13, Notre Dame on top. They got Bloomington right where they want them after that tough start to the game. Bruins try to answer with a touchdown of their own. Frums all the way to near the pylon. That would set up this score. It would go back and forth. Notre Dame was so close at the very end to pull off the upset against Bloomington. Just could not do it. 47-42, the final there. So Notre Dame falls to 0-9 and 0-4 in the Skyline League. All right, we'll keep it in the Skyline League, and I'll kind of let the cat out of the bag already. San Gorgonio needed overtime to beat Fontana tonight, so that clinched at least a share of the Skyline League championship for San G going into week number 10. But second and third place, still very much up for grab for those automatic spots in the playoffs. Bloomington holding off Notre Dame. That was a big win for the Bruins to get them a little bit closer to a playoff spot. Two other teams still on the hunt for that postseason bid out of the Skyline League. Colton and Arroyo Valley, they went head-to-head. Let's go to those highlights here. Again, in the Skyline League. And the winner of this one would be in a really good spot to make the playoffs. Interception there by the Hawks, Joaquin Morris. Colton was on the move, but Morris comes up with the pick. And then more defense from Arroyo Valley, the big stop there. And they would get the football back, and Ronald Weathers rips off this 55-yard touchdown run for Arroyo Valley. The Hawks would hold off the Yellow Jackets 30-26, the final. And Arroyo Valley now 3-1 in league. Colton drops to 0-4, so their playoff hopes were dashed in this game. So now it looks like Fontana, Arroyo Valley, and Bloomington battling for second and third in the Skyline League, followed by Colton and Notre Dame. All right, we'll keep it in the Arrowhead Athletic Conference. Kaiser taking on Rialto. Let me get my phone because Billy Cardosi, who actually came in and did the Friday Night Pep Rally in studio a couple weeks ago, always hits me up with the stats. Actually, Jason, let's go to the video, and I'll just talk about some of these numbers. Kaiser taking on Rialto, and Kyle Shine had 100 yards, 2 touchdowns. Tyler Tucker, 3 carries, 93 yards and a touchdown. Terrell Holmes Guerrero, 65 yards on a scoop and a score. And Kaiser is even though Kaiser's in the city of Fontana, so I know my geography, but according to Coach Cardosi, Kaiser is your Rialto City champion because in the last 3 weeks, they beat Eisenhower, they beat Carter, and they beat Rialto, all 3 teams in the city of Rialto. So big win, 36-6, the final score for Coach Cardosi, who's in the middle of that pile. There he is, because that basically clinched the San Andreas League championship for them, at least a share of it, and they will be your San Andreas League champs. There's Coach Cardosi, who's probably given another epic speech in the middle of that celebration there. And so big win for them. In fact, I think, did he text me this information? I think they have Rim of the World next week. So that's kind of a big game in week number 10 between Kaiser now and Rim. I did not see the Rim score. I think we'll get to it. Yes, we will. And that could be kind of a league championship game, I guess you could say, in the San Andreas League as well. But at least a share of the championship now for Kaiser. All right, now to the Mountain Valley League. It sure looks like San Bernardino is going to win back-to-back Mountain Valley League titles. They got at least a share of it tonight. Indian Springs taking on Rubidoux. Let's go to those highlights as we check out. Well, he likes to be called. There he is on the opposite sideline. Patrick Thompson, Riverside's most interesting man. No, Indian Springs with some highlights here. That's Nemo Neal going in for the touchdown there for the Coyotes. Nemo Neal's a great player on both sides of the football for the Coyotes, and Neal's going to run in the 2-point conversion as well. Indian Springs with some nice highlights as they were trailing 22-14 at that point, but Rubidoux in that ground game just too much to stop for the Coyotes as Patrick Thompson, Riverside's most interesting man, and the Falcons win 37-20 tonight. So they're 3-6 overall. Indian Springs falls to 1-8 in the Mountain Valley League. Oh, and Coach Cardosi just hit me up. We're going to get to the scores in just a moment because I told you I did not see all the scores before we went on air. So some of these scores I'm going to see for the first time just like you guys. But Coach Cardosi says, oh, hold on, we're not champs. Rim beat Carter 20-17. So it will be an outright San Andreas League title game next week. Because remember, there's only 4 teams in the San Andreas, so there's only 3 games. So Rim beat Carter, and they also beat Rialto. So, yeah, I guess like the Ivy League, the San Andreas will kind of have a true league title game next week. I was trying to crown them already. Thank you, Coach. I appreciate that. All right, let's see. Scoreboard. Let's go to the scoreboard now. We'll start in the Citrus Belt League. Beaumont blanks Redlands, big time, 59-0. And then Cajon beat Yucaipa 32-8. So now Cajon versus Beaumont next week for second place in the CBL. And finally, Citrus Valley against Rev. Blackhawks win 48-6. If CV wins next week, they'll be your outright CBL champions. Remember, Cajon had won 6 straight CBL titles leading up to this season. To the Mountain Valley League, San Bernardino falling to AB Miller tonight, 28-14. So they still have a piece of that league title, but now it's going to come down to week number 10, which will make things very interesting in the MVL. Jurupa Valley and Pacific tonight, 47-zip. Big win for the Jaguars, and Indian Springs and Rubidoux. You just saw that game, and 37-20 the final for Riverside's most interesting man in the Falcons. To the, the Sunkist League, Summit and Eisenhower tonight. Eisenhower with a big win, 31-22. So now they are in the driver's seat going into week number 10 for the outright league title. Jurupa Hills and Grand Terrace. Did we get that score, Jason? We do not have that score. So I bet you know what? I bet you Coach Cardosi has it. So, Coach, if he have it, blow me up on my cell phone right now. Okay, let's move along, Jason. Now let's go to the San Andreas League. Kaiser over Rialto by 30, 36-6. And then Rim of the World, Rim led 17-0. Carter battled back to make it close, but 20-17, the Fighting Scots. So Kaiser versus Rim, big game next week. Skyline League, Bloomington versus Notre Dame. Bruins 47-42 against the Titans. San Gorgonio and Fontana. San G gets it done in overtime. 27-21 the final there. And Arroyo Valley and Colton. Arroyo Valley wins 30-26. Couple more scores to pass along. Aquinas in the Ironwood League beats Ontario Christian 50-30. The Falcons led 30-0 at halftime, and they roll to that big win. They are 4-0 now in the Ironwood League with at least a share of that league championship. Riverside Prep and Arrowhead Christian, ACA. The Mighty Eagles win 50-18. Big win there for the Eagles. Linfield Christian and Western Christian also in league play, and Linfield wins 44-31. So it looks like the Lions will be headed to the playoffs as well. Let's see, to the Mountain Pass League, San Jacinto and West Valley. The Jack wins 48-12, so now nice bounce back win for the Tigers after falling to Liberty in the previous week. Speaking of Liberty, they played Paris and they win 49-6, so they keep on keeping on, man. Another big win for the Bison. And Tockwitz over Citrus Hill, 44-7. Tockwitz will play Liberty next week in week number 10. So if Tockwitz, let me do the math real quick. If Tockwitz beats Liberty, we could have a 3-way tie for first place in the Mountain Pass League. But if Liberty wins, they're the outright league champs. So we'll see what happens in week number 10. And if you're wondering, California School for the Deaf Riverside was scheduled to play Blair. That was a forfeit win for the Cubs. The Cubs were ready to play. Blair was not. So a forfeit win for CSDR. They will wrap up the season next week. I think our director, Jason, said Entrepreneur, which is, I believe, a smaller high school in San Bernardino. So they will wrap up the season next week in 8-man football in the regular season next week. All right, before we go, let's take a quick look ahead at week number 10, the Riverside TV game of the week. In fact, it should be plural, I think. I think we got 2 games that are going to be on Riverside TV. The first is Ramona taking on Norte Vista. You just heard from head coach Ken Batdorf the significance of those games. Norte Vista wins. They're the outright RVL champs. If Ramona wins, they're making a case to sneak into the postseason, so we'll see what happens. And we also got Vista Del Lago taking on Riverside Poly, another important game out of the Sun Belt League as the Bears try to strengthen their case to get to the playoffs. King versus Murrieta Mesa, massive game coming up in the Big West Lower for second place. at least second place in the league coming up in week number 10. We got Heritage taking on JW North in Ivy League action. We got Hillcrest taking on Arlington in the River Valley League, as Hillcrest is all alone right now in second place in the RVL. La Sierra will take on Patriot. Patriot trying to stay in third place in the RVL. Right now, remember, they hold the head-to-head with Ramona, although the Rams and the Warriors are both 2-2. Patriot owns the head-to-head against the Rams. We got Colton against Notre Dame in the Skyline League. So one of those teams will get their first league win of the year in their final game of the season in week number 10. And as we mentioned, CSDR will take on Entrepreneur in 8-man football in their regular season finale. So that's how week 10 looks. We do have some big games coming up with league champions crowned. And again, teams fighting to get a spot in the playoffs. All right, big thanks to Ken Batdorf, head football coach for the Northern Vista Braves, for joining us here live on the show. We did miss the big Jeezy, Jeff Gorham. Jason, do we have that shot of the missing seat over here? Jeff, we're just all so sad. We just keep looking over there, waiting for you to just pop up. In fact, I don't even think he's watching the show, to be honest. I think he's asleep right now. So that's 2 weeks in a row, just trying to lay low and hang out with the family. And but he hopefully will be back next week. He was on the broadcast for Elsinore North tonight with Ghazal Hassan, but hopefully he'll be back right there in that seat, because week 10 is going to be big. We're going to crown league champs. We'll talk about the playoff picture, who's in, who's out. So it'll be a lot of fun come next week. So thank you for joining us. For Scott Brocious and the entire Riverside TV team who stays up late, we broadcast the games live. We hustle back to the studio to pull this off for you guys. So we do appreciate you staying up late with us. Jason Sipe is the director. My name is Pep Fernandez. We'll see you next Friday night on the Friday Night Pep Rally on Riverside TV. Good night.
Are you getting ready?